The orphanage was quiet that evening, the soft hum of the wind outside the windows the only sound accompanying Emma Carter as she carefully folded the last of the children's laundry. The place had been her home for as long as she could remember, and now, as an adult, she worked tirelessly to give the children the same sense of belonging she had once found here. But tonight, the air felt heavier. The orphanage was in trouble, financial trouble. Donations had dwindled, and the director had informed Emma that they might have to close their doors if a solution wasn't found soon. The thought of the children losing their home broke her heart. That was when the letter arrived. It was from Alex Blackwood, a wealthy businessman who had recently moved back to the area. His proposal was as shocking as it was unconventional. He would provide the funds to save the orphanage, but in return, Emma would have to marry him. Emma had never met Alex, but his reputation preceded him. He was known for his sharp mind and even sharper tongue, a man who kept his emotions locked away behind a wall of professionalism. The idea of marrying a stranger, especially someone like Alex, was daunting. But as she looked around at the children playing in the yard, their laughter echoing through the halls, she knew she couldn't let them lose the only home they had. With a heavy heart, Emma agreed. The day she arrived at Alex's estate, she was struck by its grandeur, the towering gates, the sprawling gardens, the mansion itself. It all felt overwhelming. Alex greeted her at the door, his expression unreadable. "Welcome," he said simply, his voice calm but distant. As Emma stepped inside, she couldn't help but feel like she was walking into a new chapter of her life. One filled with uncertainty, but also, perhaps, hope. The first few days at Alex's estate left Emma feeling out of place. The house was too big, too quiet, and seemed to lack the warmth of a home. Alex, as she had heard, was a man of few words, always keeping his distance. He spent most of his time in his office, leaving Emma to explore the house on her own. Still, Emma wasn't one to give up easily. She began finding ways to make herself feel at home. She tended to the garden in the backyard, where the flowers had withered from neglect. She played the piano in the living room, letting the music fill the emptiness of the house. Alex, though he didn't say much, started to notice the small changes Emma brought. One evening, as Emma played a soft melody on the piano, Alex walked into the room. He stood quietly by the door, listening. When the song ended, he said, "You play beautifully." It was the first time he had initiated a conversation with her. From then on, small conversations began to bloom. Alex told Emma about his work, about the projects he was managing. Emma, in turn, shared stories of her time at the orphanage, where she had learned to cherish the little things in life. Gradually, the distance between them began to close. Alex started spending more time at home, even helping Emma tend to the garden. One afternoon, as they planted new flowers together, Alex unexpectedly said, "Thank you. This house doesn't feel as empty as it used to." Emma smiled, feeling that she was not only bringing life back to the house, but also to Alex himself. As time passed, Emma and Alex grew closer. Their conversations were no longer brief or awkward. Alex began to open up, sharing more about his past. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace, Alex told Emma about Isabel, his late wife. "She was an incredible woman," Alex said, his gaze distant. "We had so many plans for the future, but then the accident took her away." Emma listened, feeling the weight of the pain Alex had been carrying for so long. She didn't say anything, simply placing her hand gently over his, offering silent comfort. In the days that followed, Emma continued to breathe life into the house. She not only tended to the garden, but also helped Alex rediscover joy in small things, like playing the piano or cooking together. Alex, though he didn't say it outright, seemed to grow more and more appreciative of her presence. But then, one day, Emma stumbled upon something that left her shaken. While cleaning out an old room, she found a photograph of Isabel. She froze, realizing that Isabel looked almost identical to her. A wave of unease washed over Emma. She began to question whether Alex truly cared for her as a person, or if he only saw her as a replacement for Isabel. The thought gnawed at her, leaving her restless. That evening, when Alex returned from his office, Emma decided to confront him. "Alex," she said, her voice trembling, "do you love me for who I am, or is it because I look like Isabel?" Alex stared at her, clearly caught off guard by the question. He remained silent for a moment, as if searching for the right words to say, but his silence only deepened Emma's hurt. "I need time," Emma said, tears streaming down her face. "I can't stay here if you're not sure about your feelings." She walked away, leaving Alex standing there, confused and heartbroken. Emma left Alex's estate early the next morning. She didn't take much with her, just a small bag and a letter she left on the table in the living room. In the letter, she wrote that she needed time to think and find herself again. With nowhere else to go, Emma made her way to the old lighthouse by the sea, the place she had once shared with Alex as her refuge whenever she felt sad. The lighthouse had always been her sanctuary during the hardest days at the orphanage, a place where she could find peace. When Alex woke up and realized Emma was gone, a wave of panic and emptiness washed over him. He found her letter on the table, the sight of her handwriting making his chest tighten. As he read her words, his heart sank deeper with every line. "Alex, I can't stay if you're not sure about your feelings. I need to know that you love me for who I am, not because I remind you of Isabel. I hope you'll find the answer, but until then, I need time to think on my own." Her words hit Alex like a storm crashing against the shore. He sat down, the letter trembling in his hands, as the realization dawned on him he had been wrong. At first, he had been drawn to Emma because of her resemblance to Isabel, but now he understood that Emma was so much more. She was the one who had brought light and life back into his home, the one who had helped him rediscover joy in life. Clutching the letter, Alex remembered what Emma had once said about the lighthouse being her sanctuary. Without wasting another moment, he grabbed his coat and rushed out of the house, his heart pounding with urgency. He knew that if there was any place Emma would go, it would be there. When he arrived at the lighthouse, Alex saw Emma sitting on a rock, her gaze fixed on the ocean. She looked small and alone, yet strong in her own way. Alex approached her, his heart pounding. He knew this was his one chance to tell her the truth and make things right. Emma sat quietly on the rock, her gaze fixed on the ocean as the waves crashed endlessly against the shore. The sea breeze swept through her hair, carrying with it a sense of peace mixed with loneliness. She had come here to find balance, but her heart still felt heavy. The sound of footsteps behind her made Emma turn around. She saw Alex standing there, his breathing uneven, as if he had run a long way to get to her. "Emma," Alex said, his voice low but filled with emotion. "I'm sorry." Emma looked at him, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Why are you here, Alex? I thought you already had your answer." Alex stepped closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "I do have my answer," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "And the answer is, I love you. Not because you look like Isabel, but because of who you are. You're the one who brought light back into my life, the one who helped me find meaning again. Without you, Emma, this world feels empty." Emma stayed silent, his words stirring something deep within her, but the doubt still lingered. "How do I know that's true? How do I know I'm not just a replacement?" she asked, her voice breaking. Alex took another step forward, his eyes filled with sincerity and pain. "At first, I won't lie, I was drawn to the resemblance between you and Isabel. But then, I saw you. I saw the way you care for others, the way you bring life into everything you touch. You're not her, Emma, you're you, and I love you for everything that makes you who you are." He paused, his voice softening. "I don't want a replacement. I want you. Only you." Tears streamed down Emma's face. She could feel the honesty in every word Alex spoke. "Do you really mean that?" she asked, her voice trembling. Alex nodded. "I don't just mean it, I know it, and I can't lose you." Emma looked at him, her heart finally softening. She stepped closer to Alex, and as he leaned down, they shared a kiss under the gentle light of the lighthouse. In that moment, all the pain and misunderstandings melted away. They were no longer two lost souls, but two hearts that had found each other amidst the storms of life. The next morning, Alex took Emma to a special place, the grave of Isabel. On the way there, he held her hand tightly, as if to reassure both her and himself. When they arrived, Emma saw a simple yet elegant gravestone surrounded by white flowers. Alex stood before the grave, his expression soft but resolute. "Isabel," he began, his voice low and sincere. "I've kept you in my heart all these years, but now I understand that you'll always be a part of my memories, not my present or my future." He turned to Emma, his eyes filled with love. "Emma is the one who has brought light back into my life, and I want to live happily with her. Isabel, I hope you can rest in peace, and I will always remember you with gratitude." Emma stood quietly beside Alex, feeling the weight of his words. She placed a small bouquet of flowers on Isabel's grave, as if to say her own goodbye. As they left the cemetery, Alex held Emma's hand tightly. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you for giving me the chance to start over." Back at home, Alex and Emma's life became filled with joy and laughter. Together they tended to the garden, transforming it into a vibrant, colorful space. Alex, once reserved and distant, now often laughed and joked with Emma. One morning, Emma was baking in the kitchen, her hands and face covered in flour. Alex walked in and burst out laughing at the sight. "Are you baking or fighting with the flour?" he teased. Emma laughed, clapping her flour-covered hands onto his shirt. "Now you're part of the fight." Moments like these made their home warmer than ever. They cooked together, read books in the living room, and sometimes Alex would play the piano while Emma sang along. One evening, Alex prepared a special surprise for Emma. He set up an outdoor dinner under twinkling lights with candles, wine, and vibrant red roses. When Emma stepped outside, she was stunned. "Alex, what's all this?" she asked, her eyes lighting up. Alex smiled, pulling out a chair for her. "Just a special evening for someone special." After dinner, Alex stood up and knelt on one knee in front of Emma. He pulled out a small box, revealing a sparkling diamond ring inside. "Emma," he began, his voice full of emotion, "you've changed my life in ways I never thought possible. You've brought me hope, joy, and love. I can't imagine my life without you. Will you marry me?" Emma looked at him, tears of happiness streaming down her face. "Yes, Alex, I will." Alex smiled, gently sliding the ring onto her finger. He leaned in, kissing her softly but passionately. Then he scooped her up into his arms and carried her inside. As Alex carried Emma into the bedroom, the soft glow of candles on the bedside table cast a warm and romantic light across the room. The space, once cold and empty, now felt alive with the warmth of their presence. Alex gently laid Emma down on the bed, his eyes never leaving hers. "Emma," he whispered, his voice low and filled with emotion. "I love you, not just because you've changed my life, but because of who you are. A strong, kind, and radiant person who brings light to everything around her." Emma looked up at him, her eyes shimmering in the candlelight. "I love you too, Alex. You've given me a sense of love and belonging I never thought I'd have." Alex leaned down, kissing her softly, but with a passion that spoke volumes. Their kiss was a promise, a declaration that they belonged to each other. Every touch from Alex was gentle, as if he was afraid of breaking her. He ran his fingers through her soft hair, feeling her breath mingle with his. In Alex's arms, Emma felt safe and cherished in a way she never had before. They shared kisses, tender caresses, and a deep connection that went beyond words. That night, they didn't just share their bodies, but also their souls, as if every barrier between them had completely dissolved. As the candles burned low and the room fell into darkness, only the sound of their whispered words filled the air. Alex held Emma close, letting her rest her head on his chest. "I'll always be here, Emma," he said, his voice a soothing melody. "Forever." Emma smiled, closing her eyes as she listened to the steady rhythm of Alex's heartbeat, a comforting lullaby that carried her into sleep. That night, they didn't just sleep together. They began a new chapter in their lives, one where they truly belonged to each other. The next morning, soft sunlight filtered through the curtains, illuminating the room where Alex and Emma lay side by side. Emma slowly opened her eyes, feeling the warmth of Alex's arms still wrapped around her. She smiled, a gentle smile, but one filled with pure happiness. Alex stirred awake, his eyes meeting Emma's with a tender gaze. "Good morning, my wife." he whispered, his voice deep and soothing like a melody. Emma chuckled, her cheeks flushing pink. "Good morning, my husband." They lay there saying nothing more, simply basking in each other's presence. For them, the world outside no longer mattered. As long as they had each other, they had everything. A few weeks later, Alex and Emma decided to have a small wedding, attended only by their closest friends and family. They didn't want an extravagant ceremony, they just wanted a meaningful day where their love could be celebrated by those who mattered most. The ceremony was held in the garden behind their home, the same place where Alex had proposed to Emma. Red and white roses adorned the space, creating a romantic and cozy atmosphere. A small archway decorated with green vines and fresh flowers stood as the centerpiece, where they would exchange their vows. Emma wore a simple yet elegant wedding dress, with delicate lace details that hugged her figure. Her hair was styled in a neat bun, accented with small flowers. Alex, in a light gray suit, stood under the archway, his eyes never leaving hers as she walked toward him. As Emma reached Alex, her hand trembled slightly in his. "You look beautiful," Alex whispered, his voice filled with emotion. The ceremony was warm and heartfelt. They exchanged vows. Not grandiose words, but promises straight from the heart. "I promise to always love you, protect you, and build a life full of joy and meaning with you," Alex said, his eyes shining in the sunlight. Emma smiled, tears of happiness streaming down her cheeks. "I promise to always stand by you, face every challenge with you, and love you with all my heart." When they exchanged rings and shared their first kiss as husband and wife, the small crowd erupted into cheers and applause, showering them with blessings. Under the golden sunlight, Alex and Emma held hands, walking down an aisle strewn with flower petals, ready to begin a new chapter of their lives. They didn't need grand promises because they knew that as long as they had each other, they had everything.